by my axolotl, so I only have 10 minutes before I have to leave. Really quick, I just wanted to read this story to you. It's called Worship Me, Yandere, Ticci, Toby, X Reader. So I want to read this really quick before I have to go. Okay. Anna never expected her life to take such a dark turn when she crossed paths with Toby, a boy who had always been an outcast. What started as an innocent connection soon spirals into something much more intense and complicated as Toby's obsession deepens. Anna finds herself trapped in a world where love and control blur together and where healing is far from simple. Over time, Anna begins to grapple with her emotions, facing the tangled line between fear, affection, and a newfound bond. Will she break free from the hold of the past, or will she learn to accept the strange form of love Toby offers? A story of twisted love, forgiveness, and rediscovery. This book takes readers on a journey through darkness, vulnerability, and the complexities of human connection. Page 1. Middle school hallways were always loud, a chaotic orchestra of laughter, slamming lockers, and hurried footsteps. For most students, it was just another day. Tests to stress over, friendships to maintain, and social interactions to navigate. For Toby Rogers, however, it was survival. He kept his head down as he shuffled through the crowded hallway, his old hoodie hanging loose off on his thin frame. The faint hum of his ticks buzzed at the back of his throat, but he forced them down, knowing all too well the stares they would bring. He hated the way the other kids looked at him, like he was something broken, something too ridiculous. "Hey, Rogers." Toby froze, clutching his books tighter as a familiar sneering voice rang out. Before he could move, a hand shoved him hard from behind. He stumbled, his books scattering across the floor. "Whoops," one of the boys laughed, his friends snickering around him. "Clumsy much?" Toby bit his tongue, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. He knelt to gather his books, his hands trembling. "Leave him alone." The voice was soft, yet firm, cutting through the laughter like a blade. Toby looked up, his heart skipping a beat. "It was you. You stood there, arms crossed and eyes blazing with defiance. The popular girl, the popular girl, the one everyone adored. You didn't have to get involved, but here you were, staring down the bullies without a trace of fear." The ringleader hesitated, clearly taken aback. "We were just messing around." "Well, stop," you snapped, your tone leaving no room for argument. "Why don't you try picking on someone your own size for a change?" Muttering under their breath, the boys slunk away, leaving Toby alone with you. He stared at you, wide-eyed, as you crouched down to help him pick up his books. "You okay?" you asked, gently, handing him his notebook. He nodded stiffly, his throat too tight to speak. "Don't let them get to you," you said, offering him a small smile. "They're just jerks." For a moment, Toby couldn't breathe. Your smile was warm, radiant, like sunlight breaking through a storm. No one had ever looked at him like that before, not with kindness. "Thank you," he managed to whisper, his voice barely audible. You stood, brushing off your skirt. "Hey, do you want to eat lunch with me today? I hate sitting with my usual crowd. They're so boring." LMAO. Toby blinked. Sure, he had misheard you. "You wanna eat lunch with me?" "Yeah," you tilted your head, your smile turning playful. "Unless you'd rather sit alone." No, he blurted, his face flushing. "I mean, I'd like that." "Great. You gave him a little wave. See you in the cafeteria. As you walked away, Toby watched you, his heart thudding in his chest. For the first time in forever, he felt seen. But beneath the warm glow of your kindness, something darker stirred. You had stood up for him, chosen him. And in that moment, Toby's world shifted. You weren't just another pretty face, another fleeting moment of kindness. You were his, and he would make sure it stayed that way. Time skip. The rest of the morning passed in a blur for Toby. He sat in the back of each classroom, his notebook open but untouched. The words on the chalkboard became meaningless. Scribbles as his mind replayed the scene in the hallway. She stood up for me. He shifted in his seat, chewing on the edge of his sleeve as the thought sank in. You had defended him. You could have walked by like everyone else, but you didn't. And then his heart skipped a beat. She wants to eat lunch with me. The idea felt surreal, like something from one of the daydreams he'd retreat into when the teasing got too much. You were the kind of girl everyone noticed. The kind that turned heads in the hallway and lit up every room you walked into. But instead of ignoring him like the rest of the school, you had smiled at him. Toby's fingers drummed against the desk, his tics flitting slightly from the sheer weight of the memory. He tried to focus on the teacher's droning voice, but it was no use. Every time he closed his eyes, your face appeared. The softness of your expression, the way your eyes lit up when you smiled. The lunch bell finally rang, and Toby's stomach twisted with a mix of nerves and excitement. He grabbed his brown paper bag from his locker, clutching it tightly as he made his way to the cafeteria. The room buzzed with noise. Students clustered in groups at long tables. Toby scanned the room, his heart racing. His usual spot in the corner called to him, but he ignored it, searching for you. Then he saw you. You were sitting at a table by the window, your tray of food in front of you. When your eyes met his, you smiled and waved him over. For a moment, he froze, unsure if this was really happening, but then slowly he made his way over, his hands gripping his lunch bag so tightly it crinkled. "Hey, Toby," you greeted cheerfully as he sat down across from you. "Hi," he mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper. You didn't seem to mind. You started talking about your classes, your tone light and casual, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. Toby listened, nodding occasionally, but his mind was elsewhere. She's sitting with me, talking to me like I'm not different. His fingers itched to reach out to touch your hand, just to make sure you were real, but he didn't dare. Instead, he clung to every word you said, memorizing the way your lips moved, the sparkle in your eyes when you laughed. "What about you?" you asked, suddenly snapping him out of his thoughts. "Huh?" I asked what you like to do. Any hobbies? Toby hesitated. I like drawing, he admitted quietly. Your face lit up. That's so cool. What do you like to draw? Just stuff, he said, his cheeks flushing. Sometimes people. I'd love to see sometime, you said, your smile warm and genuine. Toby's heart thudded in his chest. You wanted to see his drawings? No one had ever cared about his art before. The two of you talked until the lunch period ended, your voice filling with the empty spaces in Toby's chest. He hadn't realized were there. When the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, you waved goodbye with a promise to talk again tomorrow. Toby watched you leave, his hands trembling slightly. For the first time in a long time, he felt wanted. But as he walked to his next class, the warmth of your kindness twisted into something darker. You were perfect, radiant. You had seen him when no one else had, and now Toby couldn't imagine a world without you in it. Oh my gosh! So, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I'll read the rest of the story sooner or later. If you want, you can check out my playlist. I'll make it more public so when I finish editing it. So yeah. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye.